Hello everyone and welcome back to the Megabuild. We're back here at Coastal Cottage, and before we get started I'm going to review what we've done with that farmhouse we built last time. Basically kind of shorted up and made it a little more defensible and gave it like an enclosed courtyard with some, observation posts there on the side. And this should support, 6 units of food in there somewhere with some trimming and, details, maybe a turret. But this is the kind of, I guess, it's kind of like a fortified house, right? It's not really a huge kind of thing, but it's something that's reasonable for I guess what a well-settled raider group would sort of toss up for their own devices. And put some chain link fences on the back there. No decorations or details yet. Just kind of wanted to put this up and get it out there. And but this is kind of nice. This is the sort of thing I want to do. So this is what it looks like from the front. Nothing particular, but whatever. But this would be actually this would pretty be a good foundation for an entire settlement if you had a small settlement, But today, what we're going to be doing is I'm going to try and build on these rocks. I'm going to try and steal something else from Bethesda, and we're going to stick it up here over the pit to make it like an observation, whatever. We'll figure out what it's for after I get it up there and see what it looks like. But the one we're going to steal today is the one from Quincy Quarries. There are 3 very large, very flat-ish buildings here. And for the purposes of this video, I wanted to try and use this one. Now ignore the Geiger counter ticking. I mean, no matter how much Rad-X I took, it was not going away. So, but yeah, you can see from this structure, I mean, we've all been through this thing probably a couple of dozen times. And you look at it, you're like, okay, it's a Raider shack. But when you look at it, I mean, really look at it, it's a very simple construction. There's a couple of balcony walls, a corner piece, and very liberal use of that L-shaped, this piece right here. This L-shaped piece, there's 3 of them. There's one there on the right, and then there's 2 here in the center, kind of opposite to, make it look like it does. But they've got, a kitchen and just whatever raggedy furnishings they can get. And the Raiders like to use those deep walls, the pushed out walls. So, and of course, those 2 are the same. I'm looking at the floor trying to decide, is that a prefab or is that not a prefab? And it turns out it's not because there aren't additional supports. But they use that shack bridge top a lot here at various angles. And just the top here angled down, and if you look underneath it, you can see those supports that I like so much, and they've rotated those about 30 degrees. They're just sticking in the side. But this is what we're going to use as our base. That's what I'm going to use today as my template in terms of feel and style and whatever to put up on that thing. Now, when I put it up there, I hadn't realized that Quincy Quarry is actually pretty large, and that this building, as it stands in its stock form, original form, is way too big. It's way too big. And I discovered that pretty quick when I'm trying to sink things into the hill. So we'll go and we'll see what's going on with that. And we'll see how it comes out. But yeah, like if you really look at these Raider structures, they're pretty easy to duplicate in vanilla. As long as you're, willing to bend a little bit on what kind of pieces you use and where, and do a lot of substitutions. So while we get started here, I'm looking at the area I'm going to build on. I'm thinking on top of those rocks, but the rocks aren't going to work for me, so let's get rid of those. But yeah, this area right here with the dirt next to those boulders on the backside, I think this is where we're going to have to start because there's not enough room to do it. And I see as soon as I put these 2 floors up, because I know it's 2 floors wide and 4 long, I'm like, yeah, there's just no way that's going to fit. So while we're going to struggle with this thing, you're going to be seeing a lot of build order stuff, a lot of redoing here. And this is what happens when the terrain that I think I want to build on is not suited to the purpose that I wanted to originally put it to. So, you'll see right away that once I get these floors in and I get another shack thing in, that it's just not going to work. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to repurpose this for my needs and wants and whatever? So, while this is going on, we'll do a little quick channel update, another channel update. I seem to be doing a lot of these lately, but that's because I have too many irons in the fire, I think. I'm starting to push the limit of what I'm able to get away with, I think. So, the first thing I wanted to cover is streaming. Thank you to everyone who suggested various different methods and, programs and hardware and whatever. Especially Draco, I want to tell you again, dude, you're right. OBS is way better than Elgato. It's super easy to use. It does not nearly have the overhead of OBS. OBS is smaller, lighter, and a lot faster, which was very nice. And also what OBS does is when you set up your stream, all it wants from you is the stream seed, that little number, that little string, that character string that YouTube gives you when you set up a live stream. That's your code to stream. That's all it needs. It doesn't need your login information. It doesn't need access to your YouTube account, because that part of the Elgato software freaked me out a lot. So I was like, no, I really don't like this. So I did test with Elgato, and I did test with OBS. And one nice thing too is the Elgato YouTube channel actually has a video of a guy telling you, here's how to set OBS up. Here's what you need to do to get your Elgato to work with OBS. And I thought that was really cool of them, that they were like, you know what, yeah, our software may not be the best in the world, so if you want to use this, here's how you can do it. And I mean, seriously, it literally took me 5 minutes to set up. I was shocked. So that's that. Going to use OBS. I did get a headset with a mic, and it works really good. Once I figured out how to get the sound into the laptop, because of course I have the Elgato HD, not the 60, and the HD does not have a 3.5 millimeter jack port. It's got this like AV looking thing on the back, and I was not about to buy yet another adapter. So here I am. I got my thing set up, got OBS running, got my stream going up, you know, plugged in the mic, tested it, worked great, did a test stream, and yeah, we were talking 20-second delays. It was chuggy as hell. It literally is it's unwatchable, because it comes to find out, maybe I should have done more research beforehand. I mean, you know, go figure on that one. But it turns out that trying to stream with a 4-year-old laptop that has integrated graphics and sound, probably not going to work out very well for you. I mean, it's pretty clear that you have to have dedicated graphics and you have to have dedicated sound if possible, with, you know, a much beefier processor than this 2014 era laptop has. I mean, it's great for rendering, you know, and if I stream, I can actually stream at like 720 as long as I don't move very fast or talk. It works great, but it's like, well, at that point you might as well just record videos. So the streaming thing, I jumped the gun on that. I apologize. I'm going to have to get a new laptop. There's just no option that it just has to happen, and that's going to cost some coin that I currently do not have. So I still do want to stream. I am very interested in it. I would like to try it. I have a plan for a character, another new character that I want to stream with, but we're going to have to see how that goes. So that's the news on the streaming front. Now on the news on the mod front, I normally don't do mod recommendations because, you know, not all mods are available on all platforms, number one. And that's something that I don't like to do very often because it feels exclusionary. It's like, you know, PS4 people are like, you know, they already feel screwed because of Sony and the way things went. And I don't want to like feel like I'm rubbing it in. But I found a mod the other day, and because if you look at my mod list, right, there are very few gameplay changing mods in there. There was a lot of settlement stuff. There are some, you know, like immersive gameplay and, you know, more open world, you know, total conversion like things. But there aren't a lot of, you know, like cheat mods and stuff like that. There's not a lot of mechanics mods that I change other than, you know, instant affinity, because God, I hate companions, but I love the perks. So I have a mod that literally maxes out their affinity the first time you do anything they hate or like. And I'm like, yeah, that'll work. I mean, I don't use it very much, but it's handy when I do. So anyway, but one thing that always irritates the crap out of me. Okay, so back to the thing. I prefer mods that are quality of life mods, or that correct things, fix things that don't make sense or are just irritating. Like, number one, the one I like a lot is less rust devils, fewer rust devils. It's called less, but it's fewer, whatever in English. What it does is, because when you start Automatron, right, every single raider spawn turns into rust devils. And that's irritating as hell. I'm like, I don't want to see robots every 20 feet. That's just, bleh. It doesn't make sense. It should be a mix. You know, there should be gunners and there should be raiders and there should be other things. So this thing just, you know, throttles down the number, it introduces the regular spawns back in, which makes sense. But one of the things, and if you've watched Elements in Survival, you'll notice I've commented on that, is that when you're trying to loot something in the water, you got to be really careful not to drink. You know, you got to use, you know, your X or your triangle, square, whatever the hell it is on PS4, instead of A, because you'll accidentally drink if the body moves, and that's so irritating. Or when you're, when you're scavenging, you scavenge a picnic bench, and I'm sure you've run into this a bunch of times. So you go down, you crouch, you start, pressing A or pressing X like crazy, scoop everything off, and then inevitably you'll sit down. I'm like, oh my God, could you just not? Because it takes like 20 seconds to get back up. I'm like, ah. So there's a mod by this person named Corax, and it's on PC and it's on XP1. I'm sorry, it's not on PS4 because apparently it uses scripting. But what this mod does is it turns off sitting and drinking unless you are standing up with your weapon. If you're crouched or your weapon's out, you will not sit down or drink. If you're standing up without your weapon out, you can sit down and drink if you want to. Oh my God, I love this so much. I'm like, now I can harvest benches really fast. I don't have to worry about sitting down in combat. I don't have to worry about drinking on accident. Oh my God. So yeah, it's Corax, K-O-R-A-X. He's only got 2 mods. That's dual mod, one for PC, one for XP1. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on that one. My God, I love this mod. I love it so much. It is rapidly moved up to this is a must-have mod next to the unofficial Fallout 4 patch. This is a must-have mod whenever I play this game now, if I play with mods. Because recently I've been playing vanilla. I have been working on the character that is going to be doing the building for the school zone challenge. And so far, she's coming up pretty good. I got like level 44, 45. Still haven't gotten all my skills yet. I haven't unlocked all the stuff I want to unlock. But I did get Vault 88, because Vault 88's got the most cool stuff. And when you want to level really fast, Vault 88's great because it's a really quick DLC and it gives you a ton of XP. So, but yeah, she's coming up, and I've selected the settlement I want to build at, and I've started putting things down. So it's interesting to build in vanilla and play in vanilla because I haven't done it in a long time, and I had forgotten just how many bugs there are in the game that these patches and mods fix. I just, it's one of those things. You get used to it again, but on the other side of the coin, it's nice to go back to building where every single tool works exactly like it's supposed to because there's no mods getting in the way, And so yeah, I've been doing that, and I guess at this point, okay, so I built the building. Now I'm building a walkway because what I want to do is build a guard post that comes down off the rocks that faces the entrance. So I'm struggling with this thing. Now here's a little build order thing too, right? And during this, you'll see that I'm trying to do my normal sink the things in and wedge them between the two. In this particular instance, okay, these two pieces, that small square floor that's solid and the small square floor with the hole in it, okay? The small square floor with the hole will snap over the solid floor, but the solid floor will not snap over the other floor. So when you build them, if you're trying to snap them together with these kind of mods, that's how you do it. You put the solid piece in first and then snap the other one over. Now right here, I'm like, I can't walk up here. Oh, I can't walk up. Oh, that sucks. Now I got to move this thing. So, build order, vanilla. Anyway, so I'm working on building with that other character, and it's coming along. I've only got like 2 structures up, and I'm realizing that it might be a good idea to explain how, because a lot of the times people will tell me, or they'll say, man, your stuff looks really organic. Oh, it really fits. It's this, that, and the other. How do you get your stuff to look so, quote, organic? And I'm like, well, I'd only build a little bit at a time. Because you've seen from these videos, like even here, right? There comes a point when I first start, I like anchors, right? I like to have something to build from. And in this case, of course, you've got the workshop and the main house there. But if I don't have an anchor, like at some places don't have a lot of anchors. So what I do is I put down buildings until something starts to make sense. So my style, quote style, if there is such a thing, is I throw things at the settlement until I look at it and it starts to make sense all of a sudden. Because I rarely go into these things with a theme. Now the Megabuild, of course, I do, because that's the whole point of it, is that they all work together and they all have a purpose and they're all da-da-da-da-da. But in like the one I'm working on now for the school zone challenge, I literally have no idea what I want to build. Other than, of course, my normal, it's going to be a small farming village or a small town that's, centered around being able to feed each other, feed themselves, like the one at Dalton, for more or less. Except, Dalton's got that general store centerpiece. So what I do is I pick an arbitrary location. I just drop a building down. I pick a building that I want to build. Let's make a settler house. Let's just build that. Okay, good. And then I leave, right? I say, okay, that house is good enough. I like that style. That looks pretty good. And then I leave. I come back and then I see it and I'm like, okay, what else does this need? Because when I look at it again, it's obvious it will need something. I don't know why that is, but it makes it, I look at it, I'm like, okay, this needs something else. So I build whatever that is, and then I leave and come back again. And the next time I see it, now it's changed, right? Now there's not one building, there's two, and now they're working together to create a sort of motif that the one building by itself did not have. So I look at those two and I'm like, okay, what do these two buildings need? And then I build whatever the third thing is, be it a workshop. I could just plant crops, maybe throw up a fence, whatever. It doesn't really matter. It varies from build to build. And then I leave again. And I come back and it keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. See, so during this time, during these phases of construction, of throwing things up, I'm only spending, what, 20, maybe 40 minutes building at any given time. Because I'm just building these little shells with a little bit of personality and maybe an object or two to remind me what the hell I was trying to do with them. So when I come back, okay. So then what happens is at a certain point, what I call the critical mass point, I come back, I look at it, and all of a sudden it's gone from 4 or 5 random buildings with some accessories and crap to a settlement. Now it makes sense as a unit, as a complete sort of entity, element, whatever. And that's the point where I sit down and I just start building like crazy because I'm like, okay, now I have something I can work with. Because, so yeah, that's why when you see these builds, when I do these Let's Builds, right? You see me put these buildings up and there's nothing in them and they're just, or, you know, there's very little in them. And then I disappear for 2 weeks and I come back and the settlement's done. Because when I hit critical mass, it's much, much easier to build after that because now everything makes sense. It's all got a purpose. It all has a reason and I can fill in the gaps. So that's why the things look as organic, I guess, as they do, is I never have a plan. I just come in and I just throw things at it until all of a sudden it starts to make sense. And sometimes I got to admit it never does. I mean, some of the builds I've looked at in the past, on my older build I look at, and I can tell you right away, just looking at it, that I spent way too much time at the start putting things up, trying to make something happen. And that, I find that frustrating now. I can't throw it at, I just can't throw buildings at some sort of weird, I don't know what the hell I'm doing thing. But, you know, I don't know what the hell I'm doing most of the time. but the thing is, if I do the not knowing what I'm doing enough, then at least there's a coherent, there's a sort of a cohesive narrative. Now, unfortunately, this thing here was a series of failed attempts, and I couldn't get it to work quite right. So after I edited the video, I don't actually finish this in this video, but after I stopped record, I went back and it took me like 45 more minutes to finally puzzle out how to get it to look and feel like I wanted to in the first place. So anyway, moral of the story is, if you're having trouble making your settlements, if you want to make your settlements look natural, I guess, quote natural or quote organic or, you know, not artificial or pre-planned, don't pre-plan them. Try not to build settlements all at once, you know. It's okay to have a theme, like I do with a mega build, like this is gonna be a raider place. Okay, so I'm stealing raiders and I'm just stuck in stealing raider buildings and throwing them at the problem. This one here has not yet reached critical mass. It's getting close though. I've got what? The guard posts, I've got the main house, I've got the fortress over there in the back end, and I got this new building here. I think 1 or maybe 2 more buildings and it will have a shape. And then I can go, okay, and then I'll sit down and just, you know, every night for like 3 nights, 4 nights in a row, I will do nothing but build on it, trim it up, fiddle with it, but all the pieces will stay the same. So anyway, if you want to try and build organic, build it organically. Do it in phases, don't do it all at once, and be willing to tear your stuff down. Yeah, see, I think this here is where I gave up. Yeah, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. It's getting dark, and I'm just not doing it. I'm going to pull this ladder down here. So I hope that's a useful bit of, like, I don't know, conceptual information. It's just, I just, that's what makes sense to me. Because, I mean, and that's the thing. You see these professionals, these advanced builders, and they have a concept, they have a theme, and they just make it happen. And I'm like, I don't know how you do that. That is so weird to me. So, okay, anyway, here's the final tour. Now you can see it's got the little indentation like the other house did. It's not as wide. No, it is as wide, isn't it? This part is as wide. It just doesn't have a door. It has this sidecar here. But you go in here and it's got the one, yeah, it's not two L-shaped pieces wide, but it's got an entryway. It's got a little balcony where they can see out. It's got a pathway through like the Raider houses always have, because they don't mind walking through each other's houses apparently. And then it's got this little walkway up here that I'm probably going to fortify, put some fences on, and then there's going to be a guard post right below this thing that a ladder goes down into that they can use to keep an eye on the pit and the doorway and whatever. But this came out pretty good. I think this was a successful execution of a failed initial concept. And okay, up to the top, and we're going to go ahead and fade out here. And I want to thank you all very much for subscribing and watching, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.